Okay, so I'm coming on live here because I want to talk to you if you want to have your podcast by February 2022. And first, I'm going to give you like 4 tips around onboarding guest mistakes that I've observed podcasts do. So these are really easy to fix. You don't have to be doing the same mistakes. So here it is. So there's going to be 4. The number 1 is not sending an outline or an angle to your guest as to what your podcast is about or what the episode is going to be about. So let's say you are doing an interview, you found your guest, they've said yes, you've booked a recording date for next week, and oh hey Dance Legs, welcome, nice to see you, it's been so long. Okay, so you found your guest. So I'm going over the 4 mistakes people I've noticed that podcasts do when they're onboarding guests for interviews. So number 1 is not sending an outline. So you've got your guests, they've said yes, and then you are recording them next week, and that's it. You just leave them hanging. They don't know what your thoughts are on what the angle is. They don't have any outline. Although most people would wait, they will say, they won't say yes. But some people are very open and they'll just say yes, and they say, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll come on your interview, on your podcast. So it's really simple. You don't have to necessarily send, thank you, Dance Legs, thank you. You don't have to send a really huge outline. It could just be like 4 sentences. It's simple. You can just say, hey, I want to talk about how you got here, why you decided to create this company, what are the obstacles and what are your lessons. So that's like super simplified. Okay, that's like, and also very cliche questions, Anyway, but so that's it. Just let people know. It's a bit like, if you invite someone over to your house, if you invite me to your house and you're not telling me there's food there, I'm going to be eating before I leave the house, okay? I don't like to be hungry. So, but if I arrive there and I have my little bottle of wine, I say, if you drink alcohol, I got my bottle of wine, and there's like a whole 4-course meal, I'm going to be full. I'm still going to eat. But let people know if they, and some people, they may not have eaten, and then they arrive and it's like tequila shots from the get-go, okay? And they're like, well, I need to eat some food first. So just let people know. It's a bit like you inviting them over to your house. Let them know what to expect. Are they taking their shoes off? Do they keep them on? Is there food? Is there alcohol free? Is there only alcohol? And just let people know. That's what the outline and the angle is about. So that's number 1 thing that I've noticed podcasts don't do. Some podcasts don't do. And again, it's a style. Look, if that's your style, maybe that's what you want to do. But I don't advise that. Number 2 is not including a disclaimer. And by that, it only needs to be a bullet point. It's not like, don't send them like an A4 sheet. Like no one's going to be reading that. No one's interested. It's just a bullet point. And all it is there are 2 things that are really important. Now, you of course need to check depending on the region you're in, because the law depends on where you're based. So if you're in a particular state in the US, or if you're in Australia, or in Japan, in Rwanda, or in Belgium or England, it's going to be different, okay? But what I would say in terms of courtesy, what you do is, there's 2 things you need to include every time you get someone on, and you have to have this in writing. 1 is, let them know that you have permission. Well, you're asking them, they have to reply and saying yes. Ask them that you have permission to record them, and that you have permission to use this on your podcast, aka gonna go on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, you name it, all these other platforms that you syndicated on. And it sounds like it's obvious, but at the end of the day, you want to cover your bases, because it could be misconstrued that they may just be coming on for a little pre-chat to discuss whether or not they want to come on your podcast. And then all of a sudden you're recording them and using that, and you can get into trouble, and they can definitely ask you to take it down, and you'll have no choice. So that's what I'm saying. So just, yeah, a lot of people don't know this dance. Like, you'd be surprised. But that's because I have an insurance. So I'm always battling with them as to what I can and not, doing. And I'm always negotiating them down every single year. So that's why. So you have to have that down as a disclaimer. Number 2 is in that disclaimer, yes, Now, that's just a personal choice, but I always include that I may not use this recording, that it's at my discretion. Just because I'm recording the interview does not mean that it grants you automatically that you're going to make the podcast. I include that on purpose. And the reason being is because I cannot give you consent ahead of time that I'm going to be enamored with that interview. You cannot give me consent ahead of time as well that you're going to like it, right? But unfortunately, it's the name of the game is that the minute you said yes to be recorded, I can use it. However, if you really don't want to, I will of course not use it. It's to do, you have to also, it's about being decent, people, how you want to be remembered as well. But regardless, everyone's going to make their own opinion about, you, regardless what you do. But just make sure that you let them know, unless you're one of those, some people are happy to use every recording they've ever done, and they'll use it because they think that's the right thing to do. And if that's how you feel, then that's what you should do. However, I don't feel that way. And one of the reasons being is because I want to respect my listeners' time. Asking people to stay on and listen to you for an hour or more is a lot nowadays, especially when, in the world of TikTok, I'm not on there, but, in the world of TikTok, it's like fast paced. I don't have time for you. That's the kind of world we live in a little bit. So I want to make sure that everything I put out, I'm happy that my listeners are actually using, an hour or more, often more, to listen to that. So that's very much a personal call, but just so you know, you don't have to use every interview that you record. So that was number 2. Number 3 is, okay. Not everyone's going to feel the same, but when you record an interview, a lot of the times it's all done remote now, okay? We're all global, is the word of working from home and so on. And, if you're using a platform like Zoom, for example, that has video enabled, let people know, and actually you do need to ask permission for that. That's really important. But let people know if you're going to be using that video. Because nowadays, people are using podcasts and they use the video and they put that on YouTube and they use the video on there, okay? To me, podcast is audio. The minute you have a video, it's a YouTube. But that's my personal call. I'm a bit old-fashioned. But if you are, there's many times I've come on, and when I do a podcast and I'm a guest on someone's podcast, I'll be in my house clothes, my hair's up in a bun, there's no face happening, in the background is, random, I live in a small place, so it's usually going to be random, but, and I've had to ask, oh, wait, are we using this video? Are you going to use this video? And they go, yes. I'm like, wait, give me a minute. To put a different top on, because sometimes you wear a top and it looks like you're naked but you're not, but it's just little strap. There's a situation happening, okay? So you want to just give people a forewarning that you are going to be using this video on your social media, on your YouTube. That's just how I feel. So that was number 3. The last one is, this is not before the interview, but it's right after. Send them a little thank you note. It's simple, it's free, it's on email. You can even save that as a template in your Google Mail. Just say, hey, thank you so much for for your time. It was really lovely meeting you. And at the same time, you can just quickly ask them for their picture that you're going to use it for marketing. And also there's a wording you need for permission. Okay. So, so just a thank you. And as you know, in many different industries and areas in life, a thank you goes a long way. Just like saying sorry goes a very long way. So just a little thank you, because they have given you their time. And in that 1 hour or 2 hours they spent with you, they're also, funneling all of their knowledge they've gained in the last, however many years or decades even. So a little thank you, just a thank you. I don't need the thank you, but I do it for people because I just think I want to thank them for their time. Does that make sense? So that's what I would say. So these are there's a lot more I could be talking about. And that's why Dance Legs about the audio versus video. Yeah, a lot of people don't. Yeah, it's I mean, it's still, people do video and it's still called podcast. To me, podcast is audio. But again, that's just semantic. But for me, like, I always assume that if I'm invited, it's like we're going to be using the sound, not the video. So, but now I make sure I'm a little bit more decent before I come on. So, yeah, so those are the 4 things. Now, if you want to have a podcast and you have an idea already, but you're just not sure where to start, you're like, oh my God, the tech, and what do I do first? And how do I do this? And then the artwork, and then do I need music in there? And then how do I edit it? And and where do I put, like, how does it happen? How does it go on Spotify? And do I need to have an Apple Podcast account? And how does this all happen? And oh my God, and the sound, and do I need to buy like an expensive mic? All of this stuff. I start a group workshop on the 15th of January, and we do this on the weekends. I used to do this during the week in the evenings, but it's a bit much when you work full time and people are tired and stuff. So we're going to do this on the Saturdays, and it's for 6 weeks, and it is capped at 16 participants, okay? 16, because I want to make sure I give you a lot of attention. I want all your questions answered. We're going to brainstorm together. We're going to do editing together as a group. Like, you're going to know exactly how to do this, and we do this together. So you can watch stuff in advance. You can watch some of the lessons before we do the group workshop, so that you have your questions ready, but then we implement this together as well. Okay, so that's why it's capped at 16 participants. You're not going to be like just a number in a massive group of 100 or thousands as well, that like online courses, right? So great, but like, if you want something where you're gonna have your attention, I'm gonna know your name, okay? I'm gonna know what your podcast is gonna be about, and I'm gonna know what is stopping you, and I'm gonna be there to make sure you get it done. You've got to put in the work. It's not easy. Even if I'm there and I'm giving you everything, and I'm like, pushing you and giving you the love, it is still work. I'm not gonna pretend here and sit. There's gonna be easy. It is work, and also very much on a personal level. It's very much about, oh God, how can I do this, and all that stuff. So, but that's what I'm going to be here for. And so, if you sign up before the 3rd of January, I have a 30% discount. So the code is okay. So if you go to the website, and it's called learnpodcasting.online, I'm gonna add this. I think I've added this in the description, but just in case, I'm just gonna add this here. The podcast is, you can see I don't do these Instagram lives, right? Learn podcasting .online. I don't know why it went all caps. I'm sorry about that. But that's the website, learnpodcasting.online. It's not meant to be caps, but there you go. I'm not shouting. It's just how it came out. So learnpodcasting.online. And if you go to the courses, there's one that's called, there's only one that has like 6 weeks in the title. It's called Create and Release your podcast with ease from your Mac in 6 weeks. So you have to be a Mac user, whether you laptop, desktop, or iPads, right? The tablets. You have to be a Mac user because of the softwares that I teach on there. So if you enter the code podcast30, PODCAST 30, you get 30% off if you do this before the 3rd of January. Now, that's if you have an idea and you want to have your podcast out there, but you're just not sure how. Now, I have another workshop. That one is at your own pace. It's not live, but you can still email me your questions. But that one is if you're not sure what your podcast concept is, you may be worried to pick one. You may be worried you're not going to be able to come up with ideas for every episode. You're not sure if you should do it weekly, monthly, daily, how long every episode should be. All of these questions that you may have before you start. I have this other workshop, and that one is 20% off before the 3rd of January if you use the code podcast20. So PODCAST20, and that one is called How to Create Your Podcast Concept and Never Run out of Ideas, plus Microphone Simplified. So you also get to know what microphone to pick. So yes, I'm just reading the comment. Okay, audio versus video. Yes, that's right, Dance Legs. Yeah, a lot of there's a lot of confusion around there when people talk about podcasts, and they're just, it's a YouTube basically they're doing. Nothing wrong with it, but Yeah. And yeah, yeah, being yeah, old school. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I am too. I'm just showing my age now. So but yeah, so the for the first one, I'm going to put down the code is pod. Let me see, I'm just writing this down. Maybe someone can teach me about Instagram Live. Podcast 30 for the 6-week workshop. And for the other one is podcast 20 for the concept and microphone. And that's it. So thank you so much for listening, Dance Legs. I can't move the comments. Oh gosh. I'm gonna leave it like this. I don't know what's happening. So but thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching the replay, send me a question. Dance Legs, if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Bye.